Hello, and a big warm welcome to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, I wonder if you might have seen, and hopefully most or all of you have, and I really recommend watching if you haven't. I'll share the link. I did last week ago, I did a Facebook Live, an hour one, on the 3 things we can do to help ourselves respond empathically and effectively to hitting, biting, pushing, taking and throwing, trying to remember all the things. And in this Facebook Live, I want to respond to your Q&As. So while I'm waiting for people to show up live, if you're watching the recording, hello, welcome, welcome. You may already know my work, so you know I'm Marion Rose because you're here on my page. So I am a level 2 aware parenting instructor. I'm the only one in Australia. I've been an aware parenting instructor for, I don't know how many years it is now, 12 or coming on 13, I think. And I have a 30-year, how quickly did that go, history in psychology, psychotherapy, parenting, all that kind of stuff. I'm basically passionate about compassionate understanding of babies, children, parents, all human beings, and really practical, tangible strategies and tools to help us navigate this journey and grow and become. So I'm hoping some people are going to show up live because I don't know what questions I can answer if there isn't anyone here. What I might have a quick look is to see if anyone has left a question, because I forgot to have a look first. Oh, there's a like. Thank you. Hello to everyone, whoever is here. Come and check in. Come and say hi if you want to, which I imagine you may want to, since it's a Q&A, but maybe not. Is that you, Nikki? Just seeing if anyone else has a question. Nope, doesn't look like it. Yay! Hello, love from Alaska. Yes, hello, Nikki. Alaska, how amazing. So, is it autumn there with you? What's the weather like? Love to hear. Don't really have toddlers. Mine are older. Oh, I really hear you. So it's for any age group. If have you got any of these things going on? Hitting, biting, pushing, taking and throwing. It's really for any age. We could even talk about adults, but probably not. Yes, cold, rainy, finally sunny. Woohoo! We've got our first bit of rain here. It's been so dry, so I'm so excited, even though it's a tiny bit of rain. Mine is mostly verbal. Oh, okay. Well, let's go with it. You're here. I'm so glad that you're here, and come and share. And I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to offer you some empathy. I'd love to brainstorm and heartstorm with you if you'd like to do that. Yeah, thank you for showing up. Teaching my kids to speak truth and being able to sit in the fire with them when I get triggered. Oh, I really feel that, Nikki. I'm sending you lots of love, and I love that. You want them to speak their truth, and you want to be able to really sit in that fire with them when you get triggered as well. Really, I'm already excited, already want to hear more if you're willing to share. Sounds powerful. I know, wow, it's huge when we can be present. So huge, isn't it? We can find that bigger place to stand and to really honor the amazingness of that gift that you're giving them, that you can stay even with the whatever's coming up from you from the past, or whatever hurts coming up. Wow. I love that context. And I really love to hear more. Sounds wonderful. And I really love that context, really seeing that I think it can be so easy to think, oh, I'm being triggered. I call it a sweet spot, as you probably know, and really to see that's part of the healing. It can be so easy to go, oh, I don't want to go there. But actually that gift that our children us give each other in the healing journey. So tonight we were driving in the car and discussing about the verbal abuse shared online with gaming community. My son responds with swearing and mean words. I really hear you. So you're saying when you're talking in the car, that's how he responded, or how he responds in the gaming community? And I love to hear how old he is, how old they are. And I immediately get set off because it's so uncomfortable for me. I really hear you, that the uncomfortableness, because I imagine that's not really, love, compassionate words and understanding words. It's hard to be. Yet we allow them to express themselves. My son is 10 and 8. Yeah. So that was part of the sitting in the fire. Love to hear more about what happened. Our house rule is speak it if you're feeling it, just don't use it to hurt. I love that. So really, I really hear the strong, I often don't like the word boundaries, but that strong container that you've got, that you really value honesty and transparency, but in a way that's really healthy expression rather than words used to hurt others. That's more, in the aware parenting model, I differentiate expression, aggression, repression. Yes, well, I immediately go into, oh my God, my son's a bully. Oh, I hear you. So they're going into the thought. So hear you. And that's often where the pain comes, isn't it? What we're telling ourselves. And really, he's usually defending himself. Yes, I really hear that. So I'm really hearing that difference between the thinky part, which is he's a bully, and actually in your heart place in yourself that that he's defending himself, or he's protecting himself, or it sounds like he's really standing for something that's important to him. I love you. You're quick at typing. Thanks, Nikki. I really appreciate it. And when he tells me about it, or I see it, I have to remove myself to get a moment and breathe. Story. Oh my, the stories. I hear you. I so hear you. So I'm really hearing that you find a space in yourself to breathe, to come more into your body. It sounds like out of your head. Sorry, haha, no need to be sorry. I'm so appreciate you and the quick typing that you're doing. Love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. So important, isn't it, to really differentiate out the thinky places, the future thinking, the judgments of them, the judgments of us, and the difference between connecting in with what actually is the need or the value that's happening. I type 100 words per minute and usually keeping up with others. Fantastic. I love it. Yes, more of my lid flip in the brain. Right. Yes. So much judgment. Yes, I so hear you. And I think particularly, I don't know if you find, but, around screens, I think there's so much in the culture. I don't know about you, but for me, I've been on such a journey around screens and all the judgments that I've internalized and have needed to work through, and still on the vestiges of working through, and how easy it can be to flip into those places rather than really listening in to what's actually, what actually might be the need there, and the feelings there, and the values there that's happening for him. Love it, Nikki. I love it. So what I'm hearing you say is that you tend to you find yourself removing yourself a bit to really connect in with yourself, to really breathe back into your body. We homeschool, and I'm trying to support his passions. So you probably know we're homeschool's natural learners as well. And yeah, I really hear you. Really hear you. So there's a whole deschooling process, isn't it? And all those beliefs and judgments that sit in there around things that we've grown up with and learnt. Finally learning to take space. Yay, to teach them to take space. So really when you're when you've gone into the thinky place that you really find you take yourself off to come and really listen into yourself? I'd love to hear if you want to share. I'd love to learn from you and to hear your experience and what you do, how you do that. More of deschooling for me. You would think 5 to 10 years in, I would be deschooled. I'm nearly 16 years in, and I'm kind of finally thinking, oh my gosh, I really get it now. I really get it. So, Kira Lee, welcome. So glad that you're here. Love to hear if you have something that you were wanting to bring in as a cue. I'm talking with Nikki at the moment, so please come and share. You imagine you've got a bit of a different journey, but hopefully the learnings are similar, because we're really talking about how, so Nikki, I hope you don't mind me sharing that you were saying when you, where you're really valuing honesty with words in your house, but when that happened today with your son, that you went into a thinky place around he's a bully or he'll become a bully, and how you take space to go off to and really listen into what's actually going on for him, what he might need, what you might need. Nikki, I have a bell, and when I need to meditate or take space, I ring it as a warning for my boys. Oh, I love that, Nikki. I don't mind if someone else needs support. Jump in. Yeah, come and jump in, Kira. And there's some more people joining, so please come. I'm quite love jumping from different places, so please come and share. Carry on, Nikki. I'm really enjoying the conversation too. Yes, we're teaching him my boundaries. Yeah, so really, I love that they really have this outer place where they can really hear. When the bell rings, they know mum's going off or mom, to really connect in with the self. And I imagine they also have had the experience many times that helps you connect in more from the thinky space or your own trigger that's happened, using your word to go into your heart, into your feelings, and that you come out in a much more connected space. I'm imagining they've experienced that, and that really helps them imagine to really that you're modeling that, so that, and I really love what you're sharing, really, because as you're saying, this is kind of often an older stage. So for younger children, around these kinds of loving limits and connection, understanding, attachment play. And what I really hear you doing is for the kind of older age group is really modeling this capacity for doing the same. I'm really hearing you doing the same for yourself, really, isn't it? It's kind of like a loving limit, so that you're not gonna, or you're less likely to act out or respond in aggression out of that your trigger or your judgment, that you're going to go and you're actually taking yourself in to connect with yourself, giving yourself the connection you need, which is kind of like an internal version of what we might offer our children, particularly if they're younger, around, or at this age as well, around connecting in with them. Nikki, we live in a geodesic home, so it's all open and loud. Haha. Oh my gosh, how lovely. I love that. I remember I went to, where did I go to? Colorado many years ago, to a place where there are all different buildings, like really amazing buildings, everyone building different things, with some geodesic homes and incrediblenesses like that. And also my 8-year-old son, so much better than I used to be. I used to yell and lose it on them. Yes, usually. Oh yeah, so celebrating that journey that you've gone on to really, I love the bell, as it's really like, and lovely. I love even the thought of the sound of it that creates that kind of energetic change, isn't it? The symbolic, I'm not willing, what I'm really hearing you say is, I'm not willing to act from this place that I've gone into, the trigger or the judgment. I'm not willing to do that. This bell is like a symbol of me going within and connecting with myself, so that I can come back out and connect with you. I love that. I wish I would have done this earlier in age. I really hear you. I really hear you. And this could still apply to youngers, because it's self-care. It's just finding what works for you and your family. Yes, I really, really hear you. Yes, and I think I so love what you say. It's such a personal thing, isn't it? And such a different thing for different families, but absolutely. And I think it'd be really clear sign, even if initially it's maybe if they're a bit young for to be actually left alone. But the bell, I love the idea of a bell. Thank you so much. I like that. I think I'm going to use that myself. We've got bells just to really mark. I've gone into a sweet spot here. This is the kind of like, oh, so everyone knows, and that's what I'm hearing you say. Your kids know. You know, mom's gone in. She's going to go and take some space for herself to connect back in. Love it. Nikki, well, I don't know the official name. It's a small metal bowl. Oh, I suppose it could be sound healing. Yes, the ones that you do that with, the rub, the stick around it. It's just loud and beautiful. Haha. So I use it. Yes. What are they called? Not the chiming bowls, singing bowls. Those ones, lovely. Even more powerful. And I imagine even that. I wonder for you, do you find that even that when you go to do that, because I imagine you do, maybe you do this as well, that I imagine it already signals to your nervous system, your emotional world, that you're also going in to connect with yourself. You're going in to listen to yourself. So I imagine that can be quite, settling for your own kind of emotional nervous system. I don't know. I'll take a pic for you. And Bon, welcome. I'm a bit late. Sorry. What's the bell? And Nikki, yes, I believe so. Yeah, what I called it, the singing bowl. Bon, what are you doing with it? I mean, I'm happy to share in a minute, or Nikki can as well if you want. So you say, I do. It's amazing. Actually meant for a child. It's nice and small. Narelle, welcome. So please come and share if you have questions. At the moment, Nikki was sharing about. So you're saying, Bon, using it as a signal for my children to know I need to take a time in for myself. I love it. So Nikki was sharing about when you get a trigger, Nikki, or when you go into judgment of your children, and in the past, you may, way back in history, you may have gone into getting shouty or doing something that you regret, that now that you signal with this that you're going to go off and take some time to connect in with yourself. Love that. Oh, lovely. I can't leave a 1 or 2-year-old to do that. Dreams. Yeah. So that's what we were saying, that even when they're young enough, so young, so that, you really wouldn't want to leave them. I'm imagining actually having that to really even signal that. Even to have your, for me, it would be like my inner loving mother, like a signal to go, just for this moment, I'm bringing this as a reminder that I'm connecting in with myself here. So, for me, if I'm not able to leave, what I tend to do is put my hands on my thighs, and I have my inner loving mother, which might be your inner divine mother or whatever it is for you. And she just says, I'm right here, sweetheart. I'm listening. I'm right here. I'm listening. Yes, I really see that you're upset. And often that does that similar thing for me. It settles my fight or flight response, whatever big feelings have come up for me. So that might be I love that pairing of an actual sound with that kind of inner place. So that I'm wondering if that might be a possible thing for you, Bon, with your little one, where you're obviously not wanting to leave. Nikki, when I'm upset or triggered versus saying or using words, potentially yelling, it helps avoid that for my kids. They just know I'm taking a moment. I love it. You could still ring it and signal to them, shh, and sit quietly, hand on heart. Yeah. And part of that, I love that too, that you say that, Nikki, hand on heart. For me, the hand on heart, my hand on my belly, or my hand on my thighs really signals to me, when I've got a sweet spot coming up, and I don't do it every time still, but it really signals to me, because I think often when we go either into thinky spaces like judgments, they're a bully, or what are they going to be like when they're an adult if they're doing this, or I've done something wrong, or they've done something wrong, whatever it is. Or if we've got it into our own sweet spot from the past, particularly, if they're hitting or something, and we were hit as a child and we've gone into that place in ourselves, those places are often where we feel a sense of being alone, either the thinky place, because when we're thinking, we're not generally in that type of thinky space, we're not connected, And when we go into a sweet spot, often in the past, we had a sense of aloneness with that, not being supported. So I find a hand on the body can really give, again, the body, the emotional, the nervous system world, a sense of I'm not on my own with this time. I'm not on my own. I'm here with you. I think it's those are the most powerful sentence I think we can have in parenting for ourselves and our children. I'm here with you, to help us so we're less likely to do something that we regret, go into aggression ourselves. Our bond, Marion, you just brought tears to my eyes. What a lovely idea. Oh, sweet. I'm so touched. Nikki, yes, Marion, beautiful. Love being seen. All we ultimately want is to be seen and heard. Absolutely. So agree. I so agree. Yeah, to know we're not alone, to know that someone gets us, to know someone's here with us. And I think to really remember that for us and for our children, and have simple shortcuts. That's what I'm loving about what you're sharing, Nikki, that such a beautiful shortcut into that knowing, and how you're modeling that for your boys. I'm going to be here with myself when I go into these spaces, that imagine when they see, already have seen repeatedly you doing that, they have that model for themselves. I love it so much. I'm here with you. I'm not on my own. Gorgeous. Yeah, I think if I needed to choose like two things in my whole parenting repertoire and self-parenting repertoire, it would be having that, but the hand on my heart, my belly on my arms, and saying, I'm right here with you, sweetheart. I'm right here with you. And same, giving that quality either in words or presence, hand on one of their backs to say the same. I'm right here with you. I'm listening. I think those are some of the most powerful things we can, and to adults as well. That's what I love about this. It's all kind of the same. To know that we are not alone with a painful place. I think that's what we all, most need, and what takes us out of then acting with aggression or acting ways we don't want to, because we have that sense that there's someone here. I'm here with you. I'm right here with you. I see you. I'm listening. Nikki, yes, and even a 1 and 2-year-old can learn that just in a different rhythm. Yes, it needs to be adjusted if it's a 1 or 2-year-old or an 8 or 10-year-old or a 15-year-old or an adult, but absolutely it's the same principle, isn't it? I'm here with you. And the difference between the thinky places that we can go into when we go into either judgment or the sweet spot places we go into, which are like we can't really think clearly, is this, I'm really loving that actually, this little model that we seem to be developing, the thinky places versus the, like the deep unconscious places of our own sweet spots, which are down here, and then coming into the heart, which is connection, which is then when we can respond in the ways we want to our lovelies. Narelle, welcome. So glad you're here. I love these statements, Marion, as I often looked outside of myself to hear these words, but now I say them to myself. Oh, Narelle, I love that you do that. I love it. It's the most, and I feel quite touched as well myself. Isn't it the most empowering thing to have that capacity? I'm here with you. I'm right here, sweetheart. Yeah, I see you. I'm listening. To know the profound relief and love and connection that arises from giving ourselves that. And of course, the paradox, isn't it? I don't know about you, but I find the more capacity I have to give that to myself, the more I'm also willing to receive it in the outer world. So I receive more love, because I think it can be easy to think, but I don't want to give it to myself because I want, of course, the little children parts of us really want it still from our parents. They want it from outside, and that's the most natural thing. But I think it's almost a paradox that the more we're the longing from that from the outside, it can often mean that there's a part of us that isn't willing to receive it. I'm not sure that's always true, but I found the more the more capacity I have that to give to myself, the more I also receive it. I'm also willing to reach out for support, and the more I'm comfortable I am with receiving that kind of unconditional love from outside. Oh, there's some more here, and I didn't see. Bon, you say my 2-year-old's very aggressive too, and my 1-year-old. Yeah, I'd love to hear more. Nikki, sorry, Bon, please share. Love to hear more. Nikki, so the 2-year-old is maybe experiencing jealousy, maybe needs to be acknowledged when doing something wrong. Yeah, it's such a big thing. I think it'd be so helpful. I always remember Aletha Salter, the founder of Aware Parenting, shared with me many, many years ago that, I always find it's the most helpful thing is, can we put ourselves into our child's shoes? And yes, we may need to do some of this for ourselves before we can, because we'll often maybe go either into stories about, this is why they're doing it, or we go into that place, judgments of them or us, or we go into our own sweet spots down here, remembering being hurt by, when we were children, by older siblings or teachers or children at school or parents. So I find the more we can put ourselves in their shoes, the more we can connect in with our heart and respond for that effectively and empathically. So I often remember that Aletha talked about, imagine if you have a partner and they came home and they said, and if your partner's male, they say, I'm coming home with a new wife and you're going to love her. You're going to love her so much. And then they bring her home and they're kissing her much more than you, and they're cuddling her much more than you, and actually they're spending less time with you than they did before, and they're getting kind of more grumpy with you and expecting more of you. We would feel really, really, to really understand the bigness, despite the fact, yes, they do, of course there are parts of them that love their sibling and, all of the loveliness things too, but to really put ourselves in the shoes of how it can be to be in that place where they really didn't get to choose. It was our choice to have another child, and to really understand the depth of those feelings of loss and pain and jealousy and rage and powerlessness and all of that stuff, so that we can have the compassionate understanding of why they're doing it, and then take action to help them release those feelings in healthy ways so that it doesn't come out in aggressive behavior. So Bon, 2-year-old experiencing everything, space, invaded, jealousy, wants to control her, etc. Yeah, so really understanding she's having, is your 2-year-old a girl as well? The absolute, the place that's coming from, all of those behaviors, and, how much hurt there is that that's creating that behavior. So I'm going to come back to you, Kiralee. So Nikki, meaning not just scold, yes. And Narone saying, a similar place, Bonnie, my 6-year-old and 4-year-old are fighting often with each other, and I don't know what I can do to best deal with this situation, which often triggers me. Oh, hi, Callie. And Nikki said, the best you can do is try to take time for you when you're upset, when you're centered and coming from your adult brain. Allows us to show compassion and patience. Watch the rerun. I use Bell for an idea. Yeah, thank you. Ding, ding. Love your Bell. I'm going to go back to you, Kiralee, as well. Kiralee said, my 5 and 10-year-olds are suddenly hitting and pushing each other much of the time. The 10-year-old retaliates, which makes me feel powerless. I then feel it's useless encouraging the 5-year-old to stop or trying to distract him. So much love to you, Kiralee. So painful. And I really hear the powerlessness that you're feeling, that kind of that sense of just, really, really, really hear you. I'm going to read Bon's comments here as well, and I'd love to see if we can come to some similar offerings. So Bon, you said, I've had many, many, many layers, onion layers of realizing I'm judging a 2-year-old and have returned to understanding, but the behavior continues. Yeah, so it's knowing that the compassion is the first step. It's really the first step, the understanding piece. And I don't know if you watched my Facebook Live last week where I talked about that, but really knowing that getting ourselves in the emotional state where we can be compassionate and we understand why they're doing it is definitely the first step. And then there are the actions that we can take to help those feelings be released in ways that aren't hurtful. Bon, 1-year-old gets hurt a lot. I've done so much work on this and obviously so much more needed. But apart from separating them, not sure how to understand 2-year-old feelings any more than I have. Yeah. So, Bon, you might want to go back and watch that Facebook Live from last week. And there's an article as well. So we'll talk about strategies, but just to know that, yeah, that whole piece, there's an hour-long one that's there for you as well that may help. I'm just going to have a sip. So for everyone, I really think doing whatever you can to either journal, if you have your inner loving mother, if you've got an empathy buddy, to really tease out, out of the kind of proof that can be there is what your judgments may be, so that you can, if you're free to really notice them, so that you can come out of the thinky place into your heart, and also really listen to your own sweet spot. So, it can be really, I think probably almost more than anything else, seeing, particularly if it's siblings, so really understand, Kiralee and Bon and Narelle, and I think it's one of the most painful things, isn't it? Because it's seeing your children, you love them so much, to see them hurt each other or one hurt another. I think it can be incredibly, incredibly painful. And I think it really can easily take us back into our own sweet spot. So any time where, particularly we were hurt by someone we loved, because that can be the sweet spot. It can be, if you had a sibling that hurt you, or a friend at school that you also really cared about, but they hurt you, or maybe you didn't. So really, anything that you can do to do your healing around your own pain, around that. So listening in with your inner loving crew, journaling, what's showing up, what, the powerlessness place in particular, that can make such a difference. The other thing that can also help us connect with, so for me, I remember when my son was hitting my daughter, it also helped me connect to sweet spots of seeing my mum and dad arguing together, and the absolute powerlessness of that. So that can also come up. So that's why I think it can be one of the most hardest places in parenting, because some of the sweet spots that we can go into are really big and painful and profound. So yeah, I think the more you can do to untangle these, I was there, wasn't I? The thinky piece. No, I wasn't. I was there. The thinky piece and your own sweet spot, so that you can really come into a place where your nervous system, your emotional world, you can actually go in a way where you're not feeling that sense of powerlessness, or, your little inner children are being taken care of there. So you can come in the adult place. Caslin, welcome. Caslin, my little one's 20 months old and has been biting since 6 months old. I'm not sure what to do. So again, Caslin, I also recommend going and watching that last week's Facebook Live, which was the whole hour-long one as well, if it's helpful. And Bonnie said, okay, thank you, I will. I missed that. Yeah, so it gives all the information. We're going to talk about it today, but really understanding the first part is helping ourselves. So really getting clear in our thinking of understanding why they're doing it. They're generally biting or hitting because of feelings around powerlessness, frustration, hurt, and that what generally happens is when they get in an interaction with their sibling or whoever it is, in that moment they're being reminded of past hurt. So it's usually past hurts around these things: fear, powerlessness, frustration, and that's what's bubbling up. And there are 3 ways feelings can come out. They can come out through crying and raging and laughing and playing and talking and shaking and sweating, or they come out as aggression, which is what we're talking about today, which actually doesn't release the feelings. And that's why it's so painful, because it can keep happening over and over and over. And these feelings don't get healed. So the powerlessness, the fear, the frustration, all of those feelings still sit there. And in fact, often when there's repeated experiences of this, the hitting, the biting, the whatever it is, there can be other feelings added on top, especially if we get frustrated, or, however their sibling or the other child responds, or how we respond, then can be shame or hurt or other feelings on top. Or they can, or there's repression, that's the other way. So really what our aim is, we're wanting to help these feelings come out, instead of coming out as aggression, which doesn't, it doesn't create healing, is help this shift so that they're coming out through expression. Let me see. Tonya, welcome. So there are a few ways we can do that. Some really, really helpful, doable things after we've done our own inner work so that we have the capacity to do this stuff. So one would be giving each child, particularly if it's siblings, some present time, each individually. So this is really helpful, if you have a partner. And I know it can be really hard in our busy lives, but it can be so much more helpful to do this than to be constantly dealing or repetitively dealing with these behaviors. Doing some present times. That may be one child with one parent and one child with the other parent. Even small chunks of present time can make a huge amount of difference, because what present time does, and by the way, I have a little free course on present time. You can find it on my website, marionrose.net. The reason it's so powerful is it has this double whammy of connection and choice. So when we're giving them present time and we're being fully engaged with them and we're loving them and they get to choose what to do, those are two of the things that are the antidote to the hitting and the biting and all that aggression, because connection and choice are two of those things that really help balance out the powerlessness and the disconnection. I'm sure you've experienced it yourself when you act, when you maybe get a bit shouty or you go into your own forms of aggression. We've lost connection with our loved ones at those times. So present time is one really, really, really helpful thing to put in place. So that's one piece, and I'm going to come and read your comment, Bon. Bon, you said, if I'm alone needing to put 1-year-old to bed, I often have to put 2-year-old in another room or she will hit and stop bedtime routine. It looks like timeout, and I'm against timeout, but not sure of another way. We do lots of one-on-one with the older child with each parent. Yeah, that's so wonderful. So I'm wondering whether, so one of the other ways I'm going to talk about, let me go into that. So I'll rewind back again to the other things I was going to say. Some of the most helpful things to do to help the feelings. So basically what we're trying to do is two things, not trying, aiming to do two things. One, put in place a sense of connection and a sense of choice, which help balance out the feelings of disconnection and powerlessness that drive these behaviors. And the other thing we're doing is aiming to help those feelings be released in ways that are healthy and healing. So those two ways that they can release those feelings, two main ways, is through attachment play, so through laughter and play, and through crying and raging. So it's really facilitating both preventatively and in the moment this sense of both connection and choice and release through crying and laughter. So, for example, if you may also be wanting to really, and I also, by the way, being alone with two very young children, I really want to acknowledge how hard that can be and how, this culture doesn't make any of this easy. We're not designed to be parenting in nuclear families like this. But it may be that you have a little think and play around with things. So I also have a free little intro on attachment play if you don't know about attachment play. So doing things like doing attachment play with both of them. So that might be games with both of them. And what you could do is when your 2-year-old starts hitting, so these two ways of helping them release, one of the ways we can help them release through crying and raging, releasing these feelings of powerlessness and frustration and jealousy and hurt that are coming out in the hitting, is loving limits. So if they're coming in to hit, coming in and really coming in, again, it needs to come from this loving place, because loving limits don't really work if we're in our own frustration and powerlessness and we're going in a power over way. So just simply coming in, love the limit first, and then the love, or you can go in with attachment play, but let's go in with the limit. So limit B, I'm not going to let you hurt your sister, sweetheart. and I'm right here, I'm listening. Yeah, I see you. And really knowing this is what the loving limit's doing. Here's the feelings, the hurt, the powerlessness, frustration, which generally come up before sleep, before bed, because that's when our natural relaxation mechanism works. The feelings bubble up. When you set a loving limit, what you're doing is redirecting those feelings. So instead of them coming out as aggression, you're creating the safety and the connection and the love for those feelings to come out in crying and raging. So holding that loving limit, I'm not going to let you do that, sweetheart. So there's the limit, and I'm right here, I'm listening. Yeah, I see you. I'm right here with you, sweetheart. And really seeing that, you might find then your 2-year-old then goes into starting to cry and rage, and really just staying with them. I'm right here. And they're both girls, aren't they? I'm right here with you. I'm listening. And you can be talking to your 1-year-old. You know, your sister, she's having a big cry. She's letting all her feelings out. I'm right here with her. I'm right here with you both. And ideally, of course, it's not going to be, you have more support, but, certainly you might find it a more helpful thing than her going out, because then, as you say, there may be then more feelings that sit on the top. Or you can go in, so these are the two ways: attachment play and crying and raging. Or you can go in with attachment play, so you can go in with a pillow and making sure she's not hitting her sister, but I'm a poor wee pillow, don't hit me, oh no, oh ow, ah, and really going in to see if you can help those feelings, the fear and the powerlessness, come out through laughter. So going in with pillow fights, any kind of a power reversal game, so she gets to release the feelings of powerlessness through laughter. So you have those two choices, and what the wonderful thing is, at any time you can go in that calm space, knowing why she's doing it, and help her release those feelings. Each time those feelings get released, so those are less and less likely to be stimulated when she's with her sister. All those feelings of the jealousy and the hurt and all of those kinds of things. Just as you imagine if, I don't know, someone was having an affair or something, and you saw the other person, every time you saw them, all the feelings would come up to be heard. So yeah, really remembering these are things we can do preventatively and in the moment, is helping them release the feelings, but also really going in with connection, providing as much connection through things like present time, and also choice. So giving them lots of choices as much as possible can also help that antidote to powerlessness. So really remembering those, 3 or 4 things: connection, choice, and releasing through laughter, play, and crying and raging. And what can we do to ramp up all 4 of these? Born, love that laughter, play, release. Yes. Tonya just escaped to the other room after my 2.5-year-old hit me repeatedly so much. Oh, sending you so much love. And just that moment, I saw your live session. I do not know what to do. Yeah, so really remembering that's what's going on for them. And so moving in at the time, either with a loving limit, I'm not going to let you hurt me, sweetheart, and I'm right here, I'm listening. Yeah, I see you. Really knowing this is all these kinds of feelings bubbling up for them, or going in with an attachment play, which might be like the pillow game, or another pillow fight. These are from Sam Cooming, by the way, from Here With You Parenting, the I'm a Poor Wee Pillow. Or you can go in with a pillow that's like, oh yes, yeah, get me, oh yeah, get me. And the whole point of attachment play and these pillow fights games are so different from come and hit a pillow. Can you feel the difference? Because if you encourage a child to hit a pillow, there isn't that, this release isn't just physical. Yes, it is a physical, because emotions are physiological, but that in itself doesn't really necessarily bring about any more healing than hitting that other person. What we're aiming to do is create a sense of connection, compassion, and release through either laughter or crying. So that's what you're going for each time. How can I help them feel connected and release these feelings that are bubbling out, either through laughter or through crying? Born, attachment play, yes. Born, I do my best to go to the 2-year-old level or lower. Fantastic, I love it. Kirili, have to go, but thanks. That was enough to provide clarity for me. I'm so glad. My 10-year-old is needing, I think. Yeah, big love to you, Kirby. I was aware of you being there and saying I'd love to talk a bit more at older children because it can be a bit different once they get a bit older. Bon, I hear that. Thank you. Big sigh. Goal to help her release feelings. Yes, help her feel more connected, have more choice, and release those feelings. That's the only reason she's doing it. She's not doing it for any other things that you might be telling her. I call these things flags. So anytime they're doing any of these things, it's really a flag. And that's what I like to have tattooed in my mind. They're not doing it because of all the judgments that may pop up in their mind or our own sweet spots. They're doing it because they're trying to release these painful feelings in healthy ways. They actually need our help. They cannot do it on their own. They need us to help them so that those aren't coming out in aggression. They're coming out in expression. Welcome, Brooke. Hello, hello. Bon, it's hectic bath hour and both have been screaming in the background. Husband sounds like he's not coping, so I've got to go. I'll come back and watch other videos here. Lots of love to you, Bon. And really remembering the screaming, the crying before bedtime, that's part of the release for both of them. So, it can be so easy to go, I need to quickly get them to bed. But, their natural relaxation and release mechanisms are around, particularly when they're getting tired. So really cooperating with those and coming and listening. I'm right here, sweetie. I'm listening. I see that you're upset. Yeah, I'm right here. The more the raging and the crying can come out, the more we take those opportunities when those feelings are bubbling up. Again, those feelings are getting released. They're getting released through healthy expression. So there's less in there to be stimulated when their sibling does something that's really reminding them of all these feelings here. So, really listening to feelings as they're bubbling up is another really helpful thing. Tonya, I love pillow game. I necessarily need 2 of those. Also one for me. Yes. It can be really helpful as well if you have another adult who's willing to play these kinds of games with you. If you have a partner, doing power reversal games for them can be incredibly healing. I always like sharing the story of when my ex-husband and I, soon after we split up, we were at a camp with a homeschooling camp, and there were kayaks, and we both had these, big water things, those big, like we call them noodles here, and we ended up just blasting each other repetitively with these water things, and both laughing hysterically. And our kids were there as well, obviously. And I think just really helpful to know that you can release really big feelings of, hurt and frustration and powerlessness and rage can get really expressed through laughter play, through pillow fights, through those kinds of games. Really powerful. Love to hear how everyone's sitting with all this. If you have anything that you specifically want to ask about your situation or your child. So really, clearly, it needs to be adjusted. So, with older children, it really can differ. But really, I think coming back to that, excuse me, the thinky place, the understanding of why they're doing it, so that we can come then from this really compassionate space so that we can be effective and empathic. And then, the tools are really quite clear. Once you know the tools and the strategies, they're fairly simple, really. Often the most challenging place is our own inner work, so that we're not judging, setting loving limits. That's what I do with the judgment, and healing our own sweet spot so we can really come in effectively from the heart, effectively and empathically. That's often, I find, the biggest piece. Phoenix, welcome. So glad you're here. So yeah, does anyone else have any questions, or how are we doing for time? We've got about another 12 minutes or so. So yeah, if you want to share any more or share things that you found helpful or questions or want some empathy. Do you like my t-shirt? I love this Queen. You can have a sip of water while I see if anyone wants to say anything. So with the biting, Kaslin, I'm not sure if you're still there, but again, really saying it's the same thing. So I'd be really focusing on attachment play. So any kind of, she's pushing you over and you pretend to fall over in a big, oh my goodness, how did you do that? And repeatedly, so she's doing that. That can be a helpful one with younger ones, a swing game. You know, I really go back to basic swing game where she's on the swing, and every time she's on the swing, she gets to you, pretend that she's knocking you over, and you do a big convoluted falling over. And if you can fall on the floor with your legs in the air, that's another great power reversal game. Again, I do have a little free course on attachment play. If you're wanting to know more, attachment play is so powerful to release feelings of powerlessness and frustration. And then loving limits. So with biting, it generally needs to be a bit more with it can be a bit more tricky. So just remembering in that moment is the flag. Whenever she bites, that's when there are feelings bubbling up. So if you can get there and do the utmost to stay close to that sweet spot. So it might be just enough to stop her, and I'm not going to let you bite me, sweetheart. And I'm right here. I'm listening. Yeah. So see if you can keep her, because that's the thing. Whenever a child does any of these things, whatever it was about that situation was helping them go into those feelings that are sitting underneath. So if we can keep them, I mean, often we'll, you know, take them far away, and then that takes them, I call it, you know, like the hotter, hotter, colder, colder game. We're then taking them away from those feelings, which means it's harder for them to release them. Whereas if we can stay close to whatever happened, which is reminding them of the underlying feelings, so that they're still in that sweet spot, they're still in that warm place. So when we provide the connection, they've already got the stimulus, the reminder, and that's when the release is most likely to come out through the tears, through the tantrums, through the raging. That's what we're looking for. So they get to let it all out with us so that they can go back to their true nature. And that's what I love about aware parenting, this approach, is understanding that every child's true nature is compassionate and, you know, relaxed and calm. Yes, having life energy, but you know, free life energy, not agitated life energy. When there's agitation or aggression, that's painful feelings that they're trying to express. And that's what's beautiful about this approach. You know, the more we can provide these things at the present time, the choices, the attachment play, and the loving limits and listening to crying and raging that arises anyway, the more free they are to return to their true nature, which is aware and compassionate and connected and cooperative and wanting to, you know, finding it easy to sleep and stay asleep and sleeping for as long as they need to. All of these things, that's their true emotional, physiological, mental, spiritual nature, is through us using these both this inner work and these outer ways, strategies. Kathleen, what have I been responding in negative ways to them in the past? How do I heal that with them? Yeah, so it's lots of love to you, and I really understand. To let you know, when my son was hitting and headbutting after his dad left, I certainly many times responded in ways that I really wouldn't have wanted to, just because I was in so much pain myself. So I think the first step is lots of self-compassion, so that you're not hitting yourself with an emotional stick. Because if you're shooting yourself or guilting yourself or judging yourself, it's going to be much harder to come in and connect in a way that's healing for her. So that's the first step, I think. And again, power reversal games are the most helpful, because if they've been scared, by our own aggression, because we were in places of powerlessness and frustration where we have the same causes that we weren't expressing through sharing, through crying, through raging with another adult. Power reversal games, again, can be a really helpful one. So a little, often can be like a little puppet. If you've got a little puppet or a little character maybe that's, slightly scary, maybe a dog or something, and she can chase you and you pretend to be scared. So I find just that, any kind of game where she's doing this and you're going, oh, that kind of thing. Hey. So you're power reversaling there. She's being the one who's doing the kind of scary thing, and you're being the one that's scared. So she's in that power reversal game. So if she's laughing there, that's where she's releasing fear. I think also apologizing, not in a guilt way, but in a taking responsibility way. I'm really sorry that I did that. So I really like differentiating sorry that comes from I've done something wrong and self-guilt and self-shame, from an apology, which is simply a clear no, I wish I hadn't done that place, and I take responsibility for that, and that wasn't your fault, I'm taking responsibility. To me, they're very different things. So really, yeah, speaking that, playing power reversal games, listening to any crying and raging, and really, yeah, those are the kinds of things that can help the healing. Wonder if that helps. Phoenix, hello again. So it's part of the release when they see you as the source of their upset. My 2.5-year-old seems to get into ordering me around, and then if I don't do what she wants, she tantrums more. She started hitting herself sometimes in the tantrum. I live in a block of flats, and I found that a bit hard in letting her really go into her feelings. Oh, I really hear it. It can be so hard in those kinds of situations. So, I mean, one thing you could do if you're friendly enough with the people is, you know, to talk to them and say, I'm listening to her feelings, but, you know, please let me know if, you know, if there are particular times that you really wouldn't like that to happen. Or so, you know, you can set that up so that you feel more comfortable to listen to her big feelings. The other thing I've found, you know, I used to take my kids to England every year, and I found doing a lot of crying in the car was really helpful, so I could go places where, you know, not in a busy car park really, but places where there was, you know, they could have really big, massive cries and rages, and I wasn't going to be concerned about other people being concerned or, you know, whatever. So yeah, it's really knowing, though when they pretty much will generally see, because what happens is the way release happens is we do it too as adults. We often need to think that the reason we're crying is about something, or raging, or is about something that's happening in the here and now. So you might have had it when maybe your partner comes home and they say one thing, and you know you have a big reaction. It's often not really the one thing. It's a lot of other things, or it's past hurts from our childhood. Children are the same. They'll often need to locate the feeling on something that's happening in the here and now. So that's what I often think can be really helpful to, you know, say that, you know, focus it on there. But we're holding in mind that it's about the past. So we may say, no, you really want me to do that, sweetheart, and I'm not willing to do it right now. Or, no, you really want me to read a 20th story, and I'm not willing to read anymore. And yeah, I see that you're upset. You really want me to read another book, sweetheart. I'm right here. I'm listening. I'm not going to read anymore now, my darling. So they will locate it on something, and to really see that we're holding in mind that we're actually helping them release the feelings, and we need to kind of hold that deeper level in our minds that this isn't actually about this. You know, if we're clear, you know, we're being compassionate, we're being loving, we've done everything we can to meet their needs. I think that can really help. And yeah, certainly if she's hitting herself, I'd be really stopping her. I'm not going to let you hurt yourself, sweetheart. I'm right here. I'm listening. Yeah, I see you. And you'll probably find that she'll go into raging more. So yeah, definitely finding a place where you can listen to those big feelings and not feel concerned about your neighbours and what's going on for them. Great. Yes. Yay. Yay. So any last questions or anything you'd love to say, and that you might get to the end and go, oh, I wish I'd asked that, or said that, or shared that. But really remembering, so as a little summary, and if you haven't watched my one from last week, I do invite you to go and watch that one, is the first piece is our own inner work. So realizing what judgments we may have, and see if we can set loving limits with those, or listen to the fears and concerns with loving compassion, so we can come into a heart. Listen to any sweet spots that we have with deep loving compassion, so we can come into a heart with them. And then really responding in these main 4 ways, which we can do both preventatively and in the moment, which is focusing on connection. So present time is a great one for that. Giving plenty of choices, which creates a sense of power in their lives, and helping the release through crying, raging, and laughing. So either attachment play, or being with feelings as they're arising, rather than trying to distract them, or come on, no, all of that, and also setting loving limits where necessary. So really knowing in the moment, when they're doing those things, we have those 2 choices, either attachment play or loving limits. And if one's not really doing it, we can go into the other one. It's really observing and playing and exploring with this. Sam, welcome, welcome. Just about to finish. I mentioned your pillow games and you again, Sam. So thank you so much. I love your pillow games. Yeah, so if you want to know more, I do have a free, I have lots of free courses. I have a free intro to attachment play, I have a free present time course, I have a free making friends with children's feelings course, and I also have paid versions of all of those too. So I have a paid attachment play course and a paid making friends with children's feelings course, which talk about all these things. So if you go to my website, marionrose.net, and you look at which course is for me, it's got all my courses there. So thank you so much for being here. Come and share. If you've watched the recording, come and share afterwards. Love to hear if you have any questions or comments. And yeah, really sending you so much compassion. This can be really, I think, one of the hardest things in parenting, and yeah, sending you lots and lots of love. And thank you for being here. See you next time. Oh, and I'm wondering about what topic to talk about next week. I'm doing these every week. So if you have a topic you'd like me to do, please add your suggestions here. I'd love to have an idea for the next one. Lots of love. Thanks for being here. See you next time.